Hey everyone, this is Innovators Mindset with Noor, Shammas, and Matt Langus. There we go. There we go. Uh, Listen, I am like really excited because I'm gonna actually be joining you in Naperville in August of 2026 is coming up pretty soon, right? And
Yeah.
it's gonna be with a bunch of your staff, so a lot of your new staff, and so Naperville does some really amazing things. These two are
Mhm.
very incredible leaders. We've been sitting here just chopping it up for a little bit, and Nora, did you? We started talking about Chicago Bears football, so let's go Chicago Bears, right? It's
Yeah.
actually interesting. Like, I don't have many sounds on my little thing. I've only used like two. That I actually do have this. How's that? Like I told you.
A little
Oh
bear
yeah, you're a
down. I
big
love it.
Chicago Bears fan. That's
Yeah,
right.
I am a big Bears fan, so like it is kind of cool. See, like even stop Bears. See, see, there you go. So yeah, I'm really excited. So I love coming out your way, but I'm really excited to join you all. But I do want to hear about some of the amazing things that are already happening in your district. So Nor, if you can just kind of start us off, tell us who you are, what you do today, and how you got there. I think it's a really great place to start.
Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Noor Shammas, and I'm currently the instructional technology coordinator in our district in our learning services department. Prior to this, I taught in elementary school, and then I was a learning support coach, instructional coach in our district. I have always loved instructional technology from my time student teaching. About 20 years ago, there was a smart board that
Yeah.
no one was using. It was collecting dust. I got it mounted in my classroom, and it was so high that we had to use like a stage bleacher thing so that kids could like stand up on it and
Yeah.
reach all the way up and touch. Um, but what it always grounds me is instruction and our kids. And so, in everything I do, whether it's tech or not tech, I'm thinking about our students and our educators. They're at the heart of everything we do. And so that has been my guiding light, if you will, throughout my 20 years as an educator.
Like we saw each other at FETC, and one of the things I really
Mhm.
appreciate about what you just shared is I think a lot of times when people are working and I'm going to say this is like I see this quite a bit, and it's frustrating. It's like they'll see a tech and then they're trying to like work it in backwards to the student as opposed to like, hey, let's really know the student, which I really appreciate that you're focusing on, and then we're going to learn some of these technologies, and then is there one that actually makes sense to help the student in a way that we couldn't without it. And I think that's like a really important thing. I know that's something that you're really focused on, not only just you but your entire school district, because when you're just trying to push the tech in there and then move backwards from there, it's like you're more focused on the tech than the student, and that's like why I'm so focused on the idea of being learner driven. So I really appreciate that. Matt, if you can just kind of tell us who you are as well, and what you do today, I would love to hear that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, my name is Matt Langus. I am the Director of Innovation and Learning here in District 203. Prior to this role, this is actually my first year in it. I was an elementary school principal for the last 5 years. I've also served as a junior high assistant principal and a junior high teacher and coach in the district. So love District 203. It is a great place to be. Even back when Nora was a coach before this role, her and I got to work together too. So we go way back in time. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. This is my first podcast ever. So thank
Let's
you for
go.
inviting us, George. Looking forward to it.
Nora, is it your first podcast too, or is it just Matt? Like this is,
It's
I'm like,
actually not my first one.
oh, okay. Listen, and Matt, listen, I got some. Where is the thing I got for you? Let's give it up for Matt.
Oh,
First
very
podcast
nice.
ever.
Gotta
Hey,
love the air horn.
tell me, Matt, a little bit about the transition from like elementary school principal to junior. I would love to hear about that. Like, what did you find was like the biggest difference? What are some of the similarities between that transition?
Well, like moving my transition from elementary principal to this role, or when I moved from junior high to elementary.
The junior high to elementary. Yeah, I want to hear that.
Uh, oh, so Nor knows this very well because she was there. So yeah, I was a junior high assistant principal for about 3 years. Wanted some more like diverse experience in my
Yeah.
career, so I transitioned and became an elementary assistant principal for a couple years. And that's where Nor and I met each other for the first time. Um, Very different world. Like I remember the first time touring the school. It's BB Elementary. Go Bobcats! And walking down the hallways, I went into a kindergarten class just to like check things out. Everything, of course, is much lower than what I was used to. But multiple kids came up and like to give me a hug. And for all of our junior high folk out there, hugs from student are non-existent as they should be. So I just remember being very thrown off by just like the different dynamics. But I love it. My kids were one of my daughter was around the same age at the time when I moved to elementary. So it was just kind of fascinating to see both at home and then at school, like that development process. So overall, I ended up loving it, especially when I became a principal at elementary. It's a great age level.
It is interesting because like I remember like I worked with elementary. That was like where I started, and then I jumped right to high school. And I swore I would never work with like junior high kids. Like that was like never. And then I got an assistant principalship at K-9 school, so it was like elementary and junior high in the school. And it's just like every group of kids is like so unique and different, but there's something really awesome about them. Like some of the jokes I used to tell the elementary kids would just kill. I try the junior, I'm like, oh, that's not funny. And I'm like, all right. So it is like interesting. And I do appreciate all that experience. Nora, I'm going to ask you this, and we were talking about this before. Naperville is very well known for, really high standards and great student success, and not just academically, but in so many different areas. And one of the things that you both talked about before we got on here was not just like kind of sticking to doing the same thing over and over again, but the ability to kind of constantly evolve in the work. But I think this is a really important thing because a lot of school districts are always trying to like get to the new thing, but they don't actually talk to their staff about it. There's like, guess what we're doing? But one of the things that you both really focused on was really having conversations and evolving alongside your community, as opposed to saying like, you got to catch up to us. Like how do you go through that process to kind of identify some of the things that you want to do in your organization, but also really not just have people buy in, but have ownership over that process?
Oh gosh, it's such a lengthy process, right? It's
Yeah.
so intentional. We really have to think through how it aligns with priorities,
Mhm.
what's already on the plates of our educators, of our community, of our students. Another part is just living in that invention place for a little bit. It's great to just dream up and ideate and think through what we want to happen, and that doesn't happen in isolation. Matt and I are huge believers in getting into our schools, talking with teachers and our students, our leaders, working with our coaches to understand what the needs are. And
Yeah.
I think that's part of galvanizing and getting a movement going. We also are huge believers in starting small and figuring things out and then making it go bigger. And so, like, when we think through some of the initiatives that we've been doing from learning services from Matt and my perspective, we're starting small and going bigger. So, right now, we're in the middle of a Google Classroom pilot,
Mhm.
and we have been slowly making progress since last spring. And now we have a pilot with like 80 teachers who are super excited about it. Of course, there's going to be, I think another thing is being aware that you're not going to make everyone
Yeah.
happy and that you're not going to get everyone. And so we do the best that we can. And that's something from a leadership standpoint that we have to keep in mind.
Mhm.
We do our best with our staff to get everyone involved and start that movement, not from us, but it's actually
Right.
coming from our teachers. So when we think about Google Classroom, for example, there will be people who are disappointed that we're possibly looking at a different learning management system. But we know if we have teachers on board trying things out,
Right.
then that helps with that awareness and excitement across the district.
You said you started off with something that I find really interesting. You're like, hey, this is a long process. Everything in education is a long process, but
True.
the focus of what the long process that you are doing is more likely to work, right? So if you like quickly implement it without input, the long process is all the fighting and all the things that are going against you after. I think that's what, if you're like, hey, we're just going to like implement this, we're not getting your feedback because we want to move as quickly as possible. Well, you're going to have a long process of everyone hating you, fighting back, saying this. But if you do the long part up front when you're building a community, I think that's where it becomes really powerful, and it's more likely to gain steam. And I think, you kind of touched on this. It might not look the way that you first intended, but the evolution is people see their fingerprints on the ultimate solutions that you actually kind of focus on. So I think that is really important, because I think as soon as people hear a long process, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's going to be long no matter what, but we want it to be long and work. I think that is a crucial element too. Matt, we were
Can I
talking.
add on
Sorry,
really
please,
quick?
please.
Sorry.
No, you're
I think
great.
if we say we're educator and student focused,
Yep,
that means that we can't just say that and live a different life. We have to say that and then
yep,
live it by asking for their feedback, getting them to be a part of the process. As actually, as I talk to more and more people about being involved with things, I had one person recently say to me, I'm always the person at the end who always does like the last minute things or does the
right.
final things, the finishing touches of a project. And her and I are partnering on Inspire 203. And she said to me, I'm so excited to be a part of the process, to
Yep,
see how like the
I love
bread
that.
is made or whatever that saying is, how you get it to actually happen. And so I think that's like part of what Matt and I try and do, going back to what you said about how do you make change.
Is it how the hot dogs are made? What is that,
Sausage.
Oh
Brett?
Yeah,
no,
that's
I'm
a
so
yeah.
bad at
Yep,
those.
yep, yep.
Is that what it actually is? Is it hot dogs? Because it's very Chicago
I
hot
think it's
dogs.
sausage, how
Right.
the sausage is
Yes.
made. Hot dog
Oh,
counts
there we
too.
go.
There's almost synonyms, so that counts too.
Well,
Not the
that
bread, which is like literally the most
says.
basic thing to make. I don't know.
Okay. Either way, I think it's good. That, and I think that's a really important aspect. Is okay. You are constantly evolving. You're constantly trying new things, but there's also like an academic standard that's expected too. So how do you? And I'm going to turn this over to you, Matt. How do you ensure that through the evolution of trying new things, creating new initiatives with your community, that you are really focused on, like we're still accountable to test scores and things like that too, and ensuring like that's still part of it while ensuring that kids become really great learners and can basically adapt to whatever comes their way after they leave your schools.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And especially, I know we were briefly discussing this too beforehand. Um, we're always trying to like keep that feedback cycle in place, but also avoid, I'll call it like polarization.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're trying not to ever get into this like all or nothing mindset. We're doing a lot right now.
Yeah.
Always trying to enhance our students' education. We're always trying to meet our profilable learner competencies that, our whole community developed. Um, so within that, looking at Inspire 203, but also beyond, is really sharing and pulling back the curtain to all of our teachers, our assistants, our communities, our leaders on here's kind of some of the vision that we have to help drive student learning.
Mm-hmm.
And we're very fortunate in our district that we have so many teacher leaders.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of grassroots sense of here's some innovative idea that they came across that they want to explore with like Noor and I or their building level administration. So it's really fostering that piece, but then making sure it's a good mix of like here's some of those foundational proven skills that we know are really effective, and then pairing that with these new enhancements, like the evolution of our profession. And I think our district does a really good job. I'm going to say both top down, but also bottom up
Yeah.
with our staff really helping push the envelope and making our district such a great place to be.
You actually reminded me of one of my own quotes from Innovators Mindset, and I think this was my idea. It's not top down or bottom up; it's all hands on deck. And I think that's something that it's like, hey, this has got to come from every single direction. That's where it becomes really powerful because there's things at a district office level that you see kind of a bigger picture in some aspects and you bring perspective, but there's things that maybe you don't see in the classrooms that also do that. And it's like we have to bring those perspectives together to find out what works best for our community. Now, I'm going to be joining you all in August. Now, I'm going to kind of put myself on the spot because I'm really excited about joining you all. And I know that it's not just me, but you're having other people do breakout sessions, and it's going to be really conversation focused. So here's how I'm putting myself on the spot. And I'll start with you, Nor. If I do a good job on that day, how will I have been successful? Like if you're like, hey, this is what we expect from you, and this is how we'll measure if it's like effective in the work that you do when you come here.
I think it's like our staff leave energized,
Yeah.
inspired to try something new that kicks off their year in a different way than the year before or the year before that. I want them to leave like revitalized to to make learning great for our students and to make teaching fun for them.
Mhm.
I always think if you're bored doing blank, then they're bored, right? I used to say to my
Right.
students, if you're bored writing it, I'm bored reading it. So if you're bored teaching, they're going to be bored learning. So I think success would be our staff leaving feeling like that.
Well, I hope
Can
I
I?
hope so. Yeah, please, Matt. I'm gonna get your
Yeah, I
feedback
was
on
going to
this
say,
too.
if you don't mind if I add on to that,
Please.
Nora and I mentioned we like to get in the buildings as much as possible, to like see that. And I always, again, going back to when I was a principal, loved when a staff would go to a professional learning, whether it was like hosted by an outside expert or even our own, and you really see it in application.
Yeah.
And the staff is talking about it excitedly at PLCs, applying what they heard from the conference. I mean, again, referencing our conversation beforehand, Nora and I were lucky to see you present at FETC. And I was explaining, like, I still have been thinking about one of the things you said at that conference regarding like bringing the community in for professional learning. And that's really what I want to see is that wonder piece that, you've instilled in them. They're experts, they're professionals, but like how to keep pushing their practice and just kind of wonder about what could be next.
Yeah, and I think that, and I hope, I hope that's like the minimum of what I hit when I'm on there on that date. And I think as someone who comes into new organizations, the thing that really matters to me is really defaulting to your staff, which I obviously you really appreciate as the experts. Like I'm just someone there sharing ideas. I don't know their context or the community like they do. And so you're really trying to maybe, obviously, as Nora's saying, leave people really inspired and, excited and energized for the year coming up. But also as kind of, as you're sharing, Matt, you want them to kind of like, hey, that's an interesting idea. Here's how I'm going to take this in my context, or here's how I'm going to, because they are the experts, right? Like I don't, listen, and you've worked with me a little bit. I don't like being told what to do, right? And I definitely don't like telling people what to do, right? You just want to share some ideas. Ultimately, your organization, your school district is finding the solutions, and I think that's what I'm really excited about because I always know when I go to districts like yours, I come out better because I'm like wanting to hear from your people and hear about the great things that are happening, and then steal it so I can share with other districts, and they're like, wow, that guy's so smart, right? So that's like, that's how you get better through this process. So Nora, you got a last comment before we head off too?
How'd you know?
I could
How'd you
just tell
know?
you're just piping up ready to go.
I was like,
Yeah, I gotcha.
I think something unique that you're going to bring, that you're going to do with our staff is understand what they're looking for from
Yeah.
your like keynote and conversation with them. And so I think another piece of success would be them leaving like affirmed, like
Yep.
they've been
Totally.
doing amazing things for a very long time. And so when we talk about inspiration, it's not like change what you're doing.
Right.
It's like one aligning with how our
Yep.
staff behave. They're always looking for more. But also, I think there's so much to be said for pausing and recognizing the amazingness that they're already doing. And so I hope that they leave that day and their conversation with you feeling that too.
Okay, so can I give a little sneak peek to what we talked about on this day?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the last thing I'm gonna share, and I think it's a really important thing to share because I'm excited that you're doing it, but I also just think every district needs to hear this. Nor and Matt, you brought up that you're gonna have a student start off the day. That is the best affirmation for a staff to see the achievements. And I was telling you, I was at a CTE conference in Sacramento, probably the best student speaker I've ever seen before me. And it was like, oh, she's so good. I'm like, oh, she's like so good. I don't want to follow this either. But you can just see, I think there's so much affirmation and it gives us a good reminder of not only why we're here, but the impact that you're already having. And I think that's such a beautiful way to start the day, to hear from your students. So I really appreciate that's how you're starting it too. And there's nothing that sets me up better because, you get some tears out of people. They're all emotional. And then I like kind of just sneak in there, because they're watching their own students. So I'm really excited to join you all. And I can't wait to be there. So hopefully your staff gets to see this before and we see as many of them as possible. But thanks. I know you're super busy. So I really appreciate you both taking the time out of your day. You bumped a meeting because I talked forever, so I apologize. So,
No,
anyways, thanks both.
I think
Go ahead, Matt, please.
Yeah, I just want to say on behalf of like Nora and I, and we're so excited to have you. It's going to be a great day. Like you said earlier, it's August 6th. It's right around the corner. So we're just really looking forward to this day. So thank you, George, for inviting us on for my first
Yeah,
podcast
love it.
here.
I love it.
Cross that off my bucket list. Yep, I appreciate it. One more for the road there. I
Let's
love it.
go.
So
I
thank
love it.
you.
Well, I can't wait to see you all. So thanks for being here today. Naperville, can't wait to see you. Go Bears. All right. Have a
There
wonderful
we
day.
go. Go
Take care.
Bears.